Hi there, I am Agatha Wanderer, and I'm from the Barony of Endeward, and that is in the Kingdom of the East. Modernly, I am Rachel Case, and I live in Maine. I have been working with the legwork finds since about 2012 when I discovered an online article about the bra, and I was fascinated and hooked. And so I started off by making a few of my own attempts just from pictures I could find on the internet, but there wasn't a lot. So eventually I was able to contact the expert in charge of the finds, the archaeologist, Beatrix Nuts, and we started working together in about 2014. And in 2015, I was able to travel to University of Innsbruck in Austria to inspect the finds and to start on reconstruction work for the finds. And my main focus for the finds is are the undergarments and headwear of Langberg. So let's get started. So our focus today will be on the finger loop braids and needle lace decorative and functional edges of four of the garments fragments from the Langberg finds. I wanted to give you a little bit of archaeological context of the finds. So in 2008, during renovations at Langberg Castle, which is still being used to this day as a facility for young adults with disabilities as a life skills program. What happened was the floor of the computer room needed to be replaced, and they needed to bring in archaeologists to excavate the vault beneath the floorboards before they fixed the floor and renovated it. And during that time, they found over 2,700 textile fragments and other debris, and among those textiles were 3 partial garments with finger loop and needle lace edging. Those garments have been dated to the late 14th and early 15th century and are just made of plain woven natural linen and were sewn with Z-spun S-ply linen thread. Those thread diameters ranged from 0.5 to 0.8 millimeters, and the linen fabric was not particularly fine and had an average thread count of 13 to 14 threads per centimeter. So this image is of probably one of the most well-known pieces from the Langberg find, which is the bra. This one actually is a bra. It has 2 distinct cups and straps and lacing holes along one side. There are no longer skirts attached, but we do think that they originally were. And you can see between the 2 cups some remnants of needle lace. And what you're seeing here is an up-close image of the needle lace that still remains. We do think that there was probably something also attached to that central panel, probably sprang. So in my own reconstructions of the skirted bra, I did make a sprang panel between the 2. It helps it to lie flat and to cover the cleavage. So another one of the most famous, little less well-known fragments is what was thought to be a sprang bra. And through several attempts in trying to make this thing a bra, I never could make it work. It didn't seem to be constructed in a way that would work with a human body. It would have fit too narrowly along the body, and the breasts would have had to be huge. And then in my research for garb, I was actually making my way through and looking at images of this pleated gown that the woman in the bottom left is wearing. And I noticed that she was wearing headwear that really reminded me of that sprang garment. So it took me a while before I was able to assert myself and talk about the fact that I thought it was headwear and not a bra, but I finally did. And you can see in the top left, the archaeologist has placed the headwear onto a mannequin head to see if it actually did work. And one of the things I needed to know was, where did that knot sit? Because the extant piece had a knot still in it. And it didn't make sense about where it was, but we decided that it probably sat at the top of the head with the ties tucked under. On the right side, you can see that this is the pattern that Beatrix has drawn with the spraying panel pattern included. Here's an up-close image of the spraying headwear. The spraying itself is very damaged, but the archaeologist was able to discern a pattern from that, and we have been able to have a spraying pattern made up so that that central panel can be reconstructed. Along the bottom edge of the image right here, you can see the needle lace edge and finger loop braid attached. So this picture is funny because this was taken in 2015 when I traveled to Innsbruck, and we placed it on a model on a mannequin because we thought it was a bra. But a few things about this garment really didn't make sense to me. That messy top edge didn't make sense to have right at the top of a bra. It's too messy. So when a person is wearing this thing as headwear, that messy area is at the back of the head and is not visible at all. What you can see here on the left is a finger loop with simple needle lace attached to the undyed linen garment. The narrow hem just has overcast stitches. This is the extant one. And on the right, the pattern needle lace here is connecting two linen sections, the main part of the headwear to the tie. And they're made directly on the selvage of the fabric. Now this is a different garment. This one is, it doesn't have spraying. The panels are shaped similarly, but we still thought at that point when these pictures were taken that they were possibly bras. But through some thinking and some reconstructing, we have decided that there's another garment that I'm not showing here in this slideshow, that these things were headwear. What you can see here is the needle lace on the edge of the linen fabric, a little more complex, and attached to it is a flat finger loop braid. I thought you might enjoy the picture on the right because the loop ends of the finger loop are still attached and showing. They didn't put any sort of thought or effort into tucking those under and making them neat, because when this headwear is worn, it's probably hidden in the back of the head, tucked under in some folds. These are just drawings of the needle lace patterns for the spraying headwear. Funny enough, we didn't think about or discover that the two straps actually have two different needle lace patterns on them, and you'll see that a little later when I show you a website. So, like I said, some of those textile fragments were unclear as to what their purposes originally were. The Beatrix Nuts originally asserted that the fragments were bust supportive garments, but we are pretty sure they're headwear. One fragment is obviously a supportive skirted bra, so that hasn't changed. Now, what I'm going to show you today and what I want to focus on are needle lace as a decorative and functional technique. So the needle lace with the finger loop braid creates a grip edge for headwear, and the needle lace provides a decorative way of connecting two pieces of fabric. The finger loop pattern that I have been using and is actually the same pattern that is used in the Langberg finds is a broad lace of 5 loops, and I got the pattern from Take 5 Bows Departed. It's recently been re-released, so if you don't have this resource. It's a really great one. So another exciting find I wanted to show you is this Italian coif, and it is actually on a website. So let me move over to the website. A moment. So, go back. Sorry about that. So it's the website is Historical Textiles by two textile nerds, and this is a coif. It's a coif that's been dated to the 15th to mid 16th century. I really like that they got some great pictures of this find. It's in a private collection, so it's not in a museum anywhere. And what you see here is a 3-paneled coif that is hemmed on all sides, and then some openwork needle lace or other needlework technique is used between the panels to create a decorative insertion stitch. What you're seeing here is this is 2 panels connected by this openwork technique, and then a finger loop braid edge with more openwork connecting to the edge of the coif. It is thought that this is a men's coif because it had ties, like ties that hang down by the jaw, not at the back of the head, which is thought to be how women's headwear was worn. What you see here is the hemmed edges of the coif on the inside with this open work in between. Here's another picture of the coif. This is a picture of what's left of the tie. Really interesting. So go check that out if you get a chance. It's really interesting. Another thing I wanted to show you, and this is not what I needed. Sorry, guys. So I'm going to go to my profile. Go to academia.edu. You can find this article, Enigmatic Beauty, the Headwear of Langberg Castle. And in it, we talk about that sprang headwear. So if you're interested, go on over. If you want to give it a read, it's really interesting. I like it. And in it, we show you the different, what the extant piece looks like. You also get a little preview of the 2 different patterns of the needle lace between the straps and the main part of the headwear. A little bit of history on women's headwear. And we wanted to include some images of people wearing this headwear. So we have some artwork of this headwear found throughout the early 15th century to the 16th century. There's also a chart for sprang if you're interested in trying out the sprang in the find. So in the next video, I will demonstrate how to do the needle lace and finger loop braid edging on the edge of a garment.